Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Family Institute. We have a very great topic tonight. The topic will be women versus virtuous women. What's the urgency? What's the urgency for women to be virtuous? Someone who might be moving their phone, something, or you can use your mind or be still. We can hear that. Yeah, so probably want to use your mic if you're not talking. Okay.
Hey, Robin.
Hi, Marcus. You're just in time. I just announced the topic. Women versus...
Good afternoon. Hello.
And so,
Hi. Go ahead.
This is Nadine Boyd.
Hi, Nadine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm glad to have you on the call.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We're just getting started. So, to this week's episode, the topic is women versus the virtuous woman. And what's the urgency for women to be virtuous? If you'd like to join in on the topic, please dial in at 857-232-0159. And the pin is 473-012. We want to give a shout out to all our listeners listening by Google, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, and I want to give a special shout out to Miss Tina Hopkins from I Am a Superwoman Radio. She's on the line with us, along with her listeners and followers. So thank you very much. And Marcus, it's in your hands.
Thank you.
I appreciate. Go ahead. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to Family in Distress. Again, we always try to come up with some good topics to, get people stimulated, minds going. And since we had Judge Joe Brown on the last time, I wanted to discuss, we discussed about manning up and how we need to get men to act like men. So I figured that for a change, we won't get on the men, and we'll talk more about the ladies and the women. Not that you women have anything negative to say or anything bad, because we love your women. And by the way, happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers listening. But I figured we'll talk about women and virtuous women and the differences between that, and just get some thoughts on how females can be more virtuous, more godlike, et cetera, et cetera. So before I get started, besides Nadine and Robin, who else is on the call?
Rowena Harrison from Rural Radio. I'm good. How are you doing?
I Am a Superwoman Radio.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
I am so glad that I have females on this call because I want to hear females' opinions on this. I want to hear your what you think about the topic, and I just think that we're going to have a great call today. So, is Miss Cheryl on the line?
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear. Here's the beauty of this thing, and I love what Judge Joe Brown did. When he talked about manning up, he didn't make it specific to men being male, but he made it across the board to communities. So I'm excited to hear Mr. Dean lead the charge to explain to us what is the difference between a woman and one that is considered virtuous. So we're here as females today because we are hoping to learn something from a male perspective. And then if you don't get it right, we're going to school you. So let us hear from a male perspective what you think a woman is versus a virtuous one.
Well, as you say that, I believe a woman, let's break it down like this. Certain females say that they're women, but the truth of the matter is they are an adult, but they're not mature. And I think the difference between a virtuous woman and just a regular woman is a woman that's more mature, who doesn't use their outward appearance to get what they want. Because unfortunately, in society, especially when it comes to men, we always look at the outward person. We always look at the person from the outside and say to them, okay, she's a woman because she's wearing something tight or she looked a certain way, and we automatically say, okay, this is who we want. But the truth of the matter is that a virtuous woman is somebody completely different. A virtuous woman don't have to use her outward appearance in order to get what she wants. She doesn't have to take advantage of what I like to call it assets. I don't want to, offend anybody, but take advantage of her external appearance to get something from a man or just get something in general. I feel that it's very important for a woman to be the way she carries herself, the way she handles herself, the way she, is in a crowd. Like, she doesn't have to be the one everybody's staring at, but she definitely is the one that's controlling the room. Does everybody understand what I'm saying with that? I want to make sure that I got everybody in control. If anybody has any comments on that as well. So I just feel like, the whole woman thing, controlling the situation, controlling what's in front of you, handling what you have to handle, being mature enough to handle what you have to handle is very important. So I just think that it's important completely and utterly to be able to do that. And, I love to hear some comments.
All right. Well, I guess this is Rowena. I guess speaking on that topic, for virtuous women, it's very important for a woman to be virtuous. It's showing your moral and how you are as a person. And, if you're out there, you're showing everything, you're doing everything. When it is time for you to settle down, time for you to get married, time for you to be a mother, someone's not looking for the woman who's out there showing everything that everybody's staring at. They want someone that is for their own and that's for themselves and who can carry themselves, like a woman and a respectful woman.
I love the word respect.
That's very, very important.
And I totally agree with you. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But beauty comes from the inside. You can look any way you want to on the outside, but if you don't have a virtuous heart, if you don't have a heart, this is my opinion, a moral heart, an ethical heart, an upright heart, you can look any kind of way that you want to, and it just doesn't matter. And it can go, you can look like you haven't had any home training or whatever, or you can have a business suit on. But if we're talking about virtuous, it's a matter of the heart. It's a matter of, how you carry yourself, like you said, respectful, dignified, ladylike, and respectful, treating people the way you want to be treated, the way, not so much the way society thinks you should be treated, but the way a upright, virtuous woman should be treated.
Absolutely, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Go ahead, Ms. Cheryl.
One of the things we need to look at, and I agree with you, Tina, because I think there is a misconception of when people hear the word virtue. So the real definition of virtue is just behavior that shows high moral standards, a person who is good, a person who is righteous. Morality is something with integrity and ethical behaviors and dignity they uphold. They are an honor person. They have decency. But when we look at the frame of all of these definitions or these words that are descriptive in what society expects, the other section of a virtuous woman is the religion-related virtuous woman. And so we have to be, what is it we're actually calling a virtuous woman? Because in society, I can hold all of those adverbs, adjectives, nouns, pronouns, whatever you want to attach to me. But if I measure myself against the religion of virtuality? Am I really virtuous? Because there's a lot of decent women, and because a lady wears a short skirt doesn't mean she's not virtuous. There are lots of women in their skirts that are way down to the ankle, and they fit the pastor. So we have to, let's really have an open discussion to truly understand what it is we're identifying as virtue. Are these opinions, or is it just something we're picking out of the wind and saying, hey, I heard one time somebody say you're virtuous because you don't curse bad words, so you're virtuous. You know, we have on television people call themselves divas. And there are a poorish set of people right now that young children are looking up to and saying, I want to be Beyonce when I grow up. She's not virtuous. Did you see the outfit she wore recently to that Looking to China gala? Did you see that Jennifer Lopez wore? And she's a woman in her 40s. But people are singing Jennifer Lopez's mantra that, hey, she can do whatever she wants to do because she's really a nice person. That has nothing to do with virtue. So what really are we as a society calling a decent, moral, sound female gender? What is the example that we must give to our children, to the standard to which they must look forward to live? Because that's really what this is about. A woman simply means gender. Now, if we're going to ask what's the difference between the gender versus the behavior, which is the virtuous woman, then let's talk real.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree.
I think this is Nadine. I feel when I do workshops with women, I feel like you have to set the standards for how you're going to be treated and the way that people will look at you. And again, it's how you carry yourself, and it's the way that you treat other people, and it's the way that you dress. But also, it's the spirit that you send off to people. People will pick up on that. And just like you said, you can have the whole garb on that says that you are a virtuous or religious woman, but if you are not having the attitude that represents that, then people will pick up on that and give you a whole different title. And it's up to us as women to command the respect, to command and demand how we're to be treated by men and others. And we can't do that unless we're representing ourselves in a respectful manner.
And this is Rowena. Sorry. I agree with you, and I have a daughter myself, and, so for me, she's a young teenager, 16 years old, to explain to her how to be a grown woman and how to respect yourself, how to respect your body, how to not really listen so much about what the out world is saying to you, but to just know within your heart how to be a good woman and how to treat somebody right. Always doing something behind someone's back that maybe they may not know about, that may not even hurt them, but still going about it and doing it is still wrong because morally you know for yourself that it's not right or it's not the proper way to behave. And that's what makes you better, is because even though they don't know you're doing it and they don't know they're being tricked, the fact that you wouldn't go out and do it to them anyways shows that you're a higher person and a higher value. And you just have to respect yourself and respect your body and respect the person that you're with. That's, if you're going to be in a relationship or any other thing like that.
So Marcus, I want to ask a question. From the male perspective, not personal, but just from your gender, which woman do you typically, not all men, because we can't speak for the population, but if you got a woman who, based off the description that we gave of virtue, a woman who people call her blessed, she's a God-fearing, she upholds the laws of God, which includes right living. She will not go to bed with someone unless he's married to her. She will not be scandalous about life. She's a woman of high standards. How many women of your life or men do you perceive have come across other women, and if they do you believe they would choose that person over someone like Jennifer Lopez?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. I'm going to be honest. For me, my personal judgment is a virtuous woman is a woman that's going to be by you 100%. She's going to be there through the thick and thin. She's not going to be worried about other men or other situations. She's going to be there to help you, your friends, your family, and whoever else they care about. And I believe that, unfortunately, because of society, people don't look for a virtuous woman. Everybody's looking for the quick physical attraction. So they see someone that looks good, somebody who has a very nice body, someone that can wear a really tight skirt, and they say, hey, that's who I want. And unfortunately, it's not about the outward appearance, but that's what most people look at when they first see something. Now, I'm not going to lie, that's not the only thing you should look at. But unfortunately, because of society, because of the way, these videos, I'm going to just throw it out there, a lot of the videos that you see, it's all about the way a female looks and about their body and how they can use it. People gravitate to that, and that's what causes the problem.
Okay, I want to back up a bit with a statement you made. You said a virtuous woman is one who has a man's back. But I thought basically the man is supposed to be the main giver of the back holding. So I kind of, I'm lost.
Well, the thing is...
Minister is putting up her hand like, Minister Lynn looks like she has something over there. Minister Lynn?
Go ahead, Robin. I got to hear what you got to say before I say my piece.
Okay, well, you know me, I'm always going with God. So I'm gonna bring what the word says, okay? Proverbs 31.
Right.
That you can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh hope and flat and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ship, she bringeth her food from afar. She rises also while it is night, and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. She considers the field and buys it. With the fruit of her hand, she plants a barnyard. She girds her loins with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good. Her candle does not go out by night. She lays her hands to the spindle, and her hand holds the distaff. She stretches out her hand to the poor. Yes, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid to show for her household. For all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing of silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gate when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes fine linen. All right, here we go. She makes fine linen and sells it, and delivers girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looks well to the ways of her household, and eats not the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, beauty is vain. But a woman that fears the Lord, she is praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own work praise her in the day. All right, I think let's do the word of God. Now y'all can talk about what you want to talk about.
Okay, well, can I chime in for just a second? This is Tina. I'm virtuous, bro. Oh, my goodness. This just has my head spinning. Our gentleman, he talked about, a woman who has your back. Oh, that kind of made the hair on the back of my neck stand up, because the first couple I think about that where the woman has the man's back is Beyonce and Jay-Z. Okay, they're a power couple. They're powerful. They have money. They have prestige. They have all of those things that the world wants to have. Okay, however, she has his back. I believe he has her back. I don't have a doubt about that. But what type of virtuous man wants his woman to be parading around at award shows literally naked? Okay, for the whole world to see. What type of couple is that? That's not virtuous. He has her back. She has his too. But there's nothing virtuous about it. Absolutely nothing.
You're honest, because virtue has nothing to do with holding people's back, holding their hands, being in love. It has none of that. So, Marcus, you're on the hot seat.
Oh, I'm not being on the hot seat. This is okay. I am not gonna fold, and I'm gonna just throw this point out there. When I say hold them down or hold them back, I don't only mean financially. I just mean what a partner should be. In other words, if I have a virtuous woman and I need help with my children, she's going to be there to help me. If I need help with just anything in life, if I'm going through something difficult, she's going to be there to support me. So that's kind of what I mean when I say hold back. I don't want people to think it's financial.
And with Beyonce and Jay-Z, I'm just throwing them out there. I believe they have all of that. I believe she would probably kill a rock for him. However, their presence, the things that they say, the mannerisms, the way that she dresses, I just don't see how a man who really loves his woman is all right. I don't care what type of arena you're in or what type of personality you are. They will want his wife, not his woman, not his side chick, not something, no hoochie mama, none of that, but his wife literally walking around naked a lot of the time.
But Beyonce's using her outward appearance to, get what she wants or do what she needs to do. And that's part of society, too. I'm not going to only throw that on her. Society also plays a role because, of course, she's an entertainer, so she feels she has to present herself that way, probably for sales and stuff. And I'm not saying that's right, but I am saying that has to do with it.
And that's where I think some of the problem is, too, with women and children growing up, is that you shouldn't have to feel like you have to sell your body or show your body to make money or to do good in your career. If you're good at what you do, no matter what you do, cleaning pools, scrubbing the toilet, working at McDonald's, you're going to do a good job because you do a good job. You don't have to show something to everybody for everybody to like you. And if you're showing your body to be able to get your money, then that means you're not really good at what you're doing, and you're giving yourself a kind of cushion just in case if you don't do so well. At least hey, I look good. I know they're going to want to go and buy it because I'm going to show a little skin. And then we have children that grow up and see this, and we have to try to explain to our little children, our women that's growing up, to not be all these things that they're seeing on TV, like you said, the videos and the dancers and the half-naked women. And we have to try to show them how we, as a mother, could be virtuous so they don't grow up to be that way like the media and everybody else is showing women to be today, which is not the correct way at all.
Yeah,
that's a great point. I think an example of that would be Ariana Grande, which I happen to have an 11-year-old daughter, and she idolizes this woman, or this girl. I shouldn't even call her a woman. She really likes her music. Lucy. And I remember specifically not too long ago that Midler, which is an artist that's been around for years, criticized her and said, listen, Ariana, you don't need to dress in these short, skimpy skirts and these long boots in order to sell albums. Same thing you said, because you have the talent, you have the skills. And Ariana Grande, I'm thinking, was going to rebuttal her, and her exact words was like, you were young ones too, so don't tell me what to do. And I was like, whoa, like that's not the right way of handling it.
So Miss Lucy's on the line. She's got something to say. Go ahead, Lucy. No, I was just listening to the comment that Marcus made previously about having somebody's back. So I know that was based on marriage because you could go up to the altar and say, yeah, I'll promise to respect you and honor you, but later on in the relationship, that's not what you obviously do. So if you're saying that if a husband and wife has each other's back, that I remember Ananias and Sapphira had each other's back in the Bible too, but I think they died together, right? They had each other's back. So is that what you're saying? I can have your back, you have mine, so we're going to.
Oh, I love this. This is great. I'm kind of one of the few males on here. I hear the whole back thing. Woo! We're gonna go in with this.
I like the line something. Yeah, so you should get a pen and paper, write it down first, and then say.
And wait, this is awesome, and this is exactly why I want to be on this call, because I know there's other guys here listening, and they're listening to what I'm saying, and hearing what you're saying.
All right, now,
and we want to get some clarity on this.
Yes, we want to get clarity.
Going with it,
we do.
100%.
We do want to get clarity. Wait, hello, wait a minute. We do want to get clarity, but we also want to answer the question: what is the urgency for women to be virtuous? So let's not get caught up into the
right.
back and forth. Okay, let's because that's very important too. All right.
Understand completely.
Okay, thank you. All right, now it's on.
You see, the good news, guys, is this. And this is Cheryl, like I started out and said, there are two thought processes here. Are we looking about the virtuous woman and why it is important that the world needs to redefine things like who's a diva, because they don't call the word virtuous, they say divas, or in the church itself, according to scriptures, does the church need to redefine how it's teaching, training, and developing those women of belief who say that they're virtuous? Because we can go all night long and give various examples, and I want to go back to Lucy, made a very good point. The scripture, Proverbs 31, talks about a virtuous woman, her children adore her, her husband respects her, and it comes across as if the Bible is speaking specific to marriage, right? Now, just because it sounds like it's specific to marriage doesn't mean that the guides being given cannot be applicable to a single woman, because long before you get married, you have to have these virtues. The virtues they're talking about is a pure heart, meekness. You put people before you. Life and how you support another person is very important to you. You don't watch others suffer and go about your business as if it doesn't matter. You extend your reach. We talk legacy. Naomi, she loved her to her heart that she never left her in spite of her husband dying. Ruth said, where you go, I go, and we stayed together. Naomi and her stayed together. So those were virtuous women. In our 21st century, I think many of the time, the issue of what's the urgency of people becoming virtuous is that there is no urgency. And why is there no urgency are some of the things, I'm messing with Marcus, but some of the things he's displaying is correct. We have, whether in church, out church, or between church, we have human beings who have made a stand that says, if a woman has a good job, she's educated, she's doing and is productive, she has a right to live how she wants to live. And whether you're in or out of church, many people have adapted this philosophy. That you should not care about what I do on my time as long as I'm not doing anything to harm you. Mm-hmm. And so this is why we see in popular culture a lot of young kids who come off Disney Channel, Jennifer Lopez, Selena Gomez, all these young kids, we could go on and on, they're messed up. And like them in spits them out, and there is no way to help them. And Marcus, you mentioned your 11-year-old daughter. Well, who is driving your bus?
And I agree with you. I have to control that because I want her. And we spoke about role models in previous discussions. And I know she has to look up to me, but like you said, who's driving my bus? That's extremely important. If all the other parents on the line are listening, it is important that your children look at you as a role model and not all of these other quote-unquote celebrities, stars, actresses, actors, etc. I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
But beyond a role model, one of the things is that parents are trying to be liked by their children, but they do not parent. If you have a child at 11, why is she listening to Beyonce? What does she know about love? What does she know about woman, whatever that song is, that the woman song recently about all the girls, whatever, Beyonce song, what was that, Lucy? Who runs the world? What does an 11-year-old girl know about running the world? She can't even get a good grade, much less to run the world. So it is encompassed on the parent to reinforce virtue in their children. And in the world, once again, Minister Lynn, in the world, when it comes to the urgency of virtue, just because we talk about it, it's not going to happen. We have to take action in each home, in each life, for every female or male, because virtue is not for women, it's also for men. The man, you have to set standards and teach women and your girl children that you will not be someone or look at someone, regardless of what popular culture says or society, because we are, we break them. It's not magicians who do. So you have to take a stand. And you have to say, I am not going to allow inappropriate dress. I'm not going to allow inappropriate television. I'm not going to allow inappropriate behavior. I am going to drive you towards standards that were set by God. It's just that simple. But what happens is everybody's waiting for someone to take the charge. And we say, well, if I'm dating a woman and she's really good to me, and, if I lose my job, she's going to still be there. She's virtuous. I'm telling you, that's not a virtuous woman. That's not what virtue means. She's a supporter. And she may have you back in support, but that has nothing to do with virtue. If she's not disciplining your children in the Lord and the right way, then she doesn't understand virtue. She's just a morally sound person who is a supportive person. Now y'all can debate about whether right.
I'm sorry.
We've got a caller that just joined us, 215 area code. Is there anything you'd like to say on the topic tonight?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Marcus.
I'm hurt right now. I'm actually trying to get all this in right now. I'm about to get my daughter in this conversation just because. But Ms. Cheryl, you're absolutely right. I understand where you're going with that. And I'm not going to lie, as a parent, you do want to be liked by your kids. You do want them to come to you. And, sometimes, unfortunately, and I'm guilty of this, I allow my daughter, I have a son as well, but I'm going to talk more about her right now since we're discussing virtuous women. But I allow her to kind of get away with a little bit more because of the fact that I do want to be liked, and I do want her to come to me with certain things, and I do have a fear. And I don't know if I'm the only parent, but I have a fear that if I am too strict, that certain things she is going to do behind my back. She is not going to listen to the things that I'm teaching her, and situations will occur as she gets older. Now, she is 11. She'll be 12 at the end of this year, and she is going to soon hit that teenage years. And I really want her to be able to talk to me and come to me about it. I think we have a somewhat good relationship, but I would like it to be better.
And I can understand.
You know what? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, as I say, I can understand, because I have children, myself. I have a young daughter, and you can't be afraid of what she's going to do. If you're doing your job as a parent and she goes and disobeys something that you've said and gets angry at you, you know, that's not, you've done your part, you've done your job, and now she's growing and learning on her own that, okay, that's why he said not to do that. If she goes on and does it and sees for herself, you know, and sees, okay, my dad cares for me. If he didn't care for me, he wouldn't tell me that there's rules and things that I can't do for myself.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. You know, no matter, you know, you have to give them a foundation. You have to teach them. And life tells us kids are going to go astray. I went astray. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, it was that foundation, it was those roots, it was that village that raised me, that gave me something to come back to, that would put, even when I was out there doing wrong, that little voices in my head. Now, Tina, you know better. Your grandmama told you not to do this, or your grandma told you not to do that. And when God delivered me and sat me down, turned me around, and headed me back on the right path, I was able to go back to, well, Grandma wasn't alive then, but Mama, Aunt, and other women in my family, you were right. You were right. You told me. You know, you showed me what I should do, but I made that choice. And Robin Lynn, the urgency is that this world is going to go in a handbasket, and it's going quickly. I worked. I used to work a program. I ran a drug and alcohol program in the local women's prison, in one of only 3 state women's prisons here in Ohio. And I always say that one of the most devastating cases that I saw was where it was the daughter, it was the mother, and the grandmother, excuse me, were all incarcerated together.
Okay.
Wow.
They were all in 3 generations. Now, there was a 4th generation coming up. Now, they're in the system. They don't have a mother, a grandmother, or a great-grandmother who has taught them anything but how to be a criminal. That's the urgency. We need to be examples and turn our young children, not just our girls, not, you know, our boys and our girls. We need to be able to turn them around and go back to being the village that we used to be, and stop being so doggone afraid of these children. My grandmother was not afraid of me under no circumstances. Mama wasn't afraid of me. But today, I got to admit, there's a spirit of fear for my children and my grandchildren, because they're not always who they should be in my eyesight. But I'm praying that Grandma's prayers and my mother's prayers it's giving them that foundation. My prayers, it's giving them that foundation to be able, when God is ready, to turn them around and put them back on the right path. We've got to stop being afraid of them. We've got to be a role model, and we have to go back to being that village that raised me.
And Tina, while we have you, would you go ahead and let the listeners know about your show and when and where we can hear it, please?
Absolutely, Robin. Again, my name is Tina Hobson. I'm the host of I Am a Superwoman radio show. I'm on Blog Talk Radio. I air every Friday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Our goal is to empower the superwoman in you. We're not a Christian show, but I am unashamedly Christian. And if you want to talk about God, you can. But the bottom line is we have relevant topics that pertain to everyday life. Health, wellness, coaching. If it's right, you'll be on my show. Every Friday night at 9 o'clock.
Tune in. I was a recent guest on the show, so we had a great time that night, too. So. All right, continuing on with the discussion. Thank you.
I want to tell Marcus, I have an 11-year-old daughter. This is Nadine Boyd, and I can identify with what you're saying. But the way in which I deal with my 11-year-old is I use life experiences when you talk about the Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez and all these other young women, I make her look at that and I ask her, is that acceptable behavior? And do you want to carry yourself like that? And do you want people to form the opinions about you, the negative opinions, not the glamorous opinions, but all the negative tweets that they get or criticism that they get? Is that what you want? And I talk to her. I talk to her very candidly. At 11, she knows a lot. And one thing that I teach my girls that I believe in solely, and we talk about the Bible, is how to be submissive. And we don't talk about that as women, particularly Christian women, how to be submissive. And in teaching her to be submissive, I'm teaching her behaviors that are acceptable also. Not just, when we think about submissiveness, we think about just to mate in a negative connotation, but in a positive way. And hopefully that submissive behavior will help carry her through being, a respectful woman in life. So that is one way that I handle my 11-year-old, and it is scary. And you can give them all the tools and provide the foundation for them. And they ultimately, and I tell you ultimately have to make the choice. And there are good choices and there are bad choices. And as a result, there'll be good consequences and there'll be bad consequences. And when she makes bad choices, I bring back the life lesson to her. And one thing that I always tell her that's a kind of a running joke between she and I, when you don't listen to your parents, bad things happen. Mm-hmm. So, that's one way that I handle my 11-year-old.
And also for men who are listening, there are 2 points I want to say. One is, yes, by showing and demonstrating to them and having them have an input into what they believe is conceived as being decency is an excellent way. But I guard parents all the time to make sure that if you're saying this to them, you're not turning on rap that's cursing bad words, and then you're trying to teach them something you are not yourself living. So we, by example. The other thing is I am a firm believer, having raised 3 kids. My youngest is 28. My oldest is 32. I am 53. I've seen it all. But one thing I can tell men is that many times because of the need for the male gaze and the male approval, a lot of times why females are behaving the way they behave is because men have led that charge, the inappropriate charge. What do I mean? Very simple. If you are a father and all the women your children see you with are the scallywags, they begin to believe that is correct because as a father, you're the first line of what a man should be for your children. Your son looks to you to know what he should be like, and your daughter looks to you to see what kind of a man she must admire most. And when it comes to adult females, they fight like cats and dogs among themselves trying to get the male gaze. And so if they go out and they have on something that society says decent, and they don't get the male gaze, they feel bad because here comes the one who doesn't dress decent, and all the men are throwing themselves at her. Even in the church, look at the pulpit. The female pastors, you don't know the difference between Mary, and gangbangers because Mary is a gospel group who dresses provocatively. I'm stumbling over the words because I'm vexed. I love Sandra Adams, but there are times when her boobs is hanging out more than anything else, and I love her as a singer. So when we look across the genres and the different sectors of our community, we see that women are fighting so hard and so desperate to be accepted by men that they're willing to do whatever it takes to be cool. So I challenge my brothers that God made you as the leaders and the females as the helpmates. They didn't make the woman to be the one to support you. What's up with this? So if we want to see change, and the urgency of change begins with the men. Men have to step up to be real fathers, real husbands, real significant and important people that they were created to be. I'm a affirm honestly 150% the liquor that when our men shape up, we're going to see changes in society. Right now, everyone is asking women to take the lead, women to be in charge, and that's not how God created it to be. And so how can we ever see change virtue when all we're hearing is what females should do and how much more females should do? Men need to step up. Men, get yourself together. Get your act together. Do the right thing for the right reasons and start leading the charge by respecting what God has ordained as being the right way that we should live as human beings. And then your wife and your girlfriends and your daughters and your sons, your uncles and your aunts will have nothing else to do but to follow suit. That's what I got to say.
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying who disagrees with me? And if you agree, why?
I don't disagree. I feel that both sides, though, as a female and males, need to both work on respecting each other, respecting people in general, and everybody working together, and, you know, things would just be a little bit more smoother, and everybody would have a more of an understanding of one another when there's more people that are going down the same path and that are thinking alike and that are working alike and working together rather than everybody on their own, everybody trying to figure things out, everybody scattered all over the place and nobody really having a solid ground or a solid basis of what just normal daily routines in life should be.
Exactly. So the women got your back.
Okay.
Yes.
That's support system.
Yep. Listen, we've got a caller on the line that would like to speak about the definition of a virtuous woman. Area code 205. You want to tell us, everyone, who you are?
Sorry, I had my phone on mute.
That's okay.
This is Evangelist Teresa Scott from Philadelphia. And I didn't tune in from the beginning of the broadcast. I didn't know about it, so I apologize. But I hear people talking about virtuous, but what does virtuous actually mean? And Robin, I know you said you read the Proverbs 31 scripture, but the definitions that I read says it's having or showing high moral standards. And I'm not sure if someone said this earlier or not, but I did hear somebody say that, you know, looking at Beyonce and these other women is not a good example. They're not good examples of virtuous women. A virtuous woman will live according to the Word of God. Her standards will be higher than what we see out here today. Someone said about the women with their boobs hanging out, the tightest clothes they can possibly wear and things like that. That's not of high moral standard. If you're calling attention to yourself, a man, to just look at you for your body parts, that's not a high moral standard. And as women, we need to go back to teaching our young girls what it means to have high moral standards. I know when I was a young girl, I'm 51 years old now, and when I was a young girl, there was never hanging out, you know, body parts hanging out. And if there were, the older women said something. You know, they didn't just let women walk around like we see women do today. And nowadays, I don't know what happened to the teaching standards, but everything seems to go. And if someone does say something about being virtuous, then we're considered hateful. We're considered, you know, we don't have any love and we're not tolerant and all this other craziness. But I think we need to just get back to teaching our young ladies about having high moral standards. But we can't teach it if we don't have it ourselves.
So, Teresa, can you tell us who you are? She's a book author, everyone, and she has her own talk show as well. I think a couple of them. You want to tell us about that?
Well, I have two books that I've written. One is called An Attitude of Love, The Ways of a Godly Wife, that it talks about, actually it talks about moral standards. It talks about how I went from being a bad wife to who I am today. And the process that I had to go through to learn how to love, because I didn't know what it was.
All right.
But, you know, it's a whole lot of stuff that I would have to be able to tell you about that book. But you read in that book and you can see how God changed me. Not, you know, me praying, God, I want you to change my husband. Now, you see, but how God changed me. So it was a process, and He's still changing me.
Okay.
And so the second book is called The Lust of Her Flesh. And it's a Christian fiction, and it talks about a Christian woman who, you know, she's been celibate for 6 years, and then she sets her sight on this man, and it all goes crazy from there.
Okay.
You know, in the book it talks about, you know, her letting down her moral standards, and it talks about how at some point in her, after she repented, how God used her to bring other people out of situations. But it's really a fiction story. Both books are available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, CreateSpace.com. And I have a third book that I participated in, and it's entitled Dear Lord, I Think I Married the Wrong Person, Her Story. And it just talks about how we hear God but we ignore Him. It's not a man-bashing book. It's just 14 different women talking about how God warned them about marrying this particular person, but we did it anyway.
Okay.
And what we had to go through as a result.
And real quickly, where's the title of your show and where can we get it? And then we're going to wrap up. We've got a few more minutes left.
Okay, we're on Friday evenings right now. We're not doing Thursdays anymore, but we're doing Friday evenings, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's called Turning Up the Gospel with Lady T, where we have people on who are authors, actors, actresses, singers, songwriters, movie producers, etc.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Marcus!
I'm here. I'm listening.
But I wanted to correct something because I guess the caller that just spoke came on a bit after what was said. So the definition was given, and the Beyonce comments we were doing had nothing to do with us saying that's virtue. Actually, it's the opposite. These are examples being given of what is not virtuous. However, society calls them divas, which is another word that society tries to coin as being virtue. And so as we continue to say, when it comes to virtue, we've all experienced it with each one of us. You can't teach what you don't live. You can't ask others to practice what you, just because you preach it, but you don't believe in it. Because, again, I have lived long enough to see a lot of people say a lot of stuff. And I myself as an author, I've seen authors write stuff that they don't live. So if we are to have a change, and the urgency definitely is, as everyone has said, is that our society has lost values. And so the urgency to going back to being a woman of high moral standard, which is a summary of virtue. And moral standard is not what you believe it to be on Wednesday, but on Friday and Thursday you can change the definition. It's the standard that's God, it's man. And so if you are to be a righteous woman, one of integrity, one that upholds God's laws and all of the beliefs that comes with it, then you are going to be called blessed. By your children, by those who you meet, those who meet you. You can't say I'm virtuous, but you have no mercy, no compassion to give anyone, then you're not virtuous. And so oftentimes what happens in our society is that we are saying a moral standard of living is virtue when it is not. True virtues come from knowing God and embracing and being willing to submit and surrender our own will unto God. And so for men, again, my challenge to all men, is that the male teacher will understand that, unfortunately, whether they like it or not, God made you to be in charge. Stand up and be counted. Man up, as Judge Joe Brown says. Man up, as Mr. Alan Holt says. Don't stay in a gender format and point your finger as to why your daughters are becoming scallywags, as to why your wife is not performing. It's because you are out of order. When you get lined up with God, all order must come. So man up and be counted and lead the charge. Stop dating women who are not virtuous and then you're asking your daughter to be virtuous. Stop dating women who are not virtuous or admiring them or buying the magazines or looking on TV and saying, man, she look good. And then you're going to turn around and talk that, women must wear long sleeves and long skirts. You've got to lead the charge. And mothers, you got a woman, not just the gender, but you got to be the example and live it so that when your children see you, they call you blessed. That's the word of God.
Amen. That's a good wrap up for this call. But and I want anybody to answer this question. We've discussed females or women who are not virtuous. Can anybody give me the name of somebody, a polling citizen or standing, that is virtuous, so we can start?
Robin Lynn Mabin Lafayette.
Oh wow! Another woman besides Robin?
Yes, my husband loves me. Everyone I go around call me blessed. So I have lived the gospel.
Amen.
I look at C.C. Winans as being a virtuous woman, and I look at her versus some of the other Christian performers who just don't look virtuous. They might be virtuous in their hearts, but I look up to C.C. Winans, the way she dresses, the way she carries herself, the way her husband looks at her, the way her children look up to her. I feel that C.C. Winans is a virtuous woman.
I appreciate that because, unfortunately, people need to see those people more in society. Those people need to be the ones that are exalted, and unfortunately, in our society, they're not. So we pray that changes, but as Ms. Cheryl says, men do have to stand up. We have to make a stand, and we have to make changes in society, and we just can't allow things to happen. We have to make things happen. So before we leave, anybody have any closing words? Because we want to continue this topic again next week because there's so much more to speak about when it comes to this topic. But before we leave, for the segue to going on to our Bible line, where we can learn the steps and the things that we need towards from God.
Okay.
Become, stand-up men and virtuous women. Does anybody else have anything to say?
No, I think that this was just a great topic, and I'm glad that it's going to be continued next week because it's it's really, really, really important. And so I'm hoping next week that we can bring out more examples of the urgency. What is the urgency to be a virtuous woman? Because so much is lost. And so, and Marcus, if I may, this will wrap it up for this week's episode of Family in Distress. We'll be back next week, same time. And we are getting ready to go over into our Bible study. And all are welcome to join us. And that number is 712-432-0700. And the PIN number is 970-516-pound. I'm going to say it again. 712-432-0700 and the PIN 970-516-pound. I'm going to say it. No, I'm not. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Miss Tina. Thank you, Evangelist Scott. Thank you, Reverend Dupree. Thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Boyd. God bless you very much for being on here. Marcus, as always. And everyone else, Roro, thank you very much. And everyone else, thank you for listening. And we will be here next week. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye.